So welcome back if this is your time to join us, if you've joined us in the past, and welcome if this is your first time. So we are really delighted to bring a bit of balance to our lives with today's theme. I'm going to introduce Verna just because we've got a exercise yoga demonstration in store for you at the back end. So Verna Sanabria, wave. She is a yoga instructor extraordinaire. But what we wanted to do before we get to stretching ourselves, Amber and I want to facilitate a little bit of a conversation and a discussion around balance. You know, there's a lot to be said about things that are competing for our time. We are working remotely from home, and we've got some of us have kids that we have to homeschool, so now we're teachers, or even if we don't have kids, we've got people and tasks that are really competing for our time. And it's just, you know, can cause us to be in a state of complete overwhelm. So getting present to what we might need to do differently or better to stay centered, to not give ourselves away, to have our energy depleted, finding, quote unquote, what that formula for having somewhat of a balanced life, both physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, is really, really important. I'm making note of people that are coming in. So that's what we have in store. So by way of intro, I mean, we might as well, Amber, right? I mean, there may be some people who don't even know who we are and what we do. So I'm Michelle Brown. I'm a certified executive career and business coach and empowerment activist is what I like to call myself. We've been doing this weekly Wednesday Lunch and Learn series since the beginning of COVID back in March 23rd, I think was our first time. And every Wednesday for 1 hour, it's the highlight of our week because we get to see your faces and we get to talk about real relevant issues and topics that I know are near and dear to our hearts, but also appear to be things of interest to you guys, which is why we consistently get more and more people to sign in. So Amber, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Amber Lee Forrester, and it is week 12. Can you believe it? This is our 12th, I guess, episode, if you want to call it, because, you know, this is our time when, as Michelle said, we really look forward to this. And so the topics keep flowing, and we really have enjoyed bringing them to you. And we've enjoyed the input that you've given us as well of what's been valuable to you and what you'd like to see from us in the future. So I am a life, career, and business coach, and I'm really passionate about making coaching, personal and professional development affordable to women, minorities, and to young adults, because it's so often that we need it so much, and it's not always something that's accessible and affordable for us. And so this positive content that we bring through the Lunch and Learn and the other things that you can see on my website, quartzwellnesscollective.com, and on Michelle's website, it's our labor of love, but it really is something that we're most passionate about because we really love being able to take the walls down and come face to face with everyone. So welcome, welcome. And today, as Michelle mentioned, we are excited about this. We're switching it up a bit. Where we normally just do a talk, we have a talk for the first 20-25 minutes or so, and then we have a yoga session with Verna. So we hope that you're all comfortably dressed, and just make sure that if your cameras are on, that you're comfortable with everything that's in your background, because we are live on Facebook and we record this and we put our videos on YouTube for people who weren't able to join us to watch the replays. So Michelle, is there anything else before we get started that you want?
Yeah, I'll just kind of touch on just a little bit of housekeeping. I see the majority of you have yourselves muted, which is fine, but feel free at any time. You know, this is always intended to be a conversation, a discussion. We don't want to be television just kind of talking at you. So feel free at any point to either post a question or a comment in the text in the chat room, as well as unmute yourself to kind of speak freely. And that's basically it. Yeah, I think we're ready to go.
All right.
Hey, Maya.
Welcome everyone. And we may
you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. We may have some folks that join us as we get started, so you may see more people popping in, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Can everyone see this? Yep, good. Okay. All right. So we're talking about establishing a balanced life. What does that really mean? What is balance and is it achievable? I love these discussions around balance because it's quite polarizing. There are people who will say there's no such thing as balance. And I have something to offer to that belief. And so let's start with talking about what balance is. Balance is the moderate middle between two extremes. It's funny because a lot of times people will say I'm either black or white, and I'll say I live in the gray zone because I like to have a balance between the two extremes. So sometimes I am black and white, but when I often look at where is the gray zone between these two extremes, because there's some magic to be found in that. Balance is, as Michelle described it in the email that she sent, life balance means balancing the needs of our inner authentic selves with the needs of all the other things that demand our time, attention, and our energy. And so when we are out of balance, something important is going unmet. That's what that usually means, right? When we're working really hard, maybe we're neglecting our social lives, or we're neglecting our loved ones, or when we are in full play mode, maybe we're neglecting our work. Maybe we're neglecting our diets or our exercise. We have so many balls to juggle, especially as women, but everyone, but we have so many balls to juggle that it can be easy to drop a ball, right? So we're going to talk about that today, and just how to keep all those balls juggling around in our lives. But we have to understand that some things are always left undone, and that allows us to have more compassion for ourselves and for others as well. And the important thing about that, something that's left undone, is that we find a way to pick that back up before it completely goes away. So we're going to talk about that when I introduce the concept of counterbalance. This whole term work-life balance was introduced in the 80s because that was a time when, at large, women were entering the workforce more than they had been a part of the workforce before. In our communities and communities of color, some women were in the workforce far before that. However, in general, with the general population of the United States, it wasn't until the 80s that more women were starting to get work outside of the homes. Before the 80s, they were in the homes, they were the homemakers. And so there was not as much of a need for balance because of just the position of the woman within the home of not having to work. But once we got into those jobs, out of the home, into those offices, then we started to think, okay, wait a minute. Now, how does this work? How does balance work? So there's this quote that says, success lies at the outer edges. And I want to introduce this concept of counterbalance because I think that it is a really healthy alternative to what we believe is balance. So for people who want to achieve extraordinary results, they're going to have to put in a lot of time and focus in one area. In order to be extraordinarily good at something, it's that, I'm sure you all are familiar with the concept of the 10,000 hours to be an expert. And so a lot of times we fast track that, and we want that expertise to come not over 10 years or 20 years, but to come over maybe 5 years or 7 years. And so what that looks like is putting an extraordinary amount of time and focus into that space. But when I think of balance, I think of it like a ballerina and what we can learn from ballerinas. If you think of the way a ballerina works, a ballerina looks like when she's so graceful on the stage, it looks like you can't really see the movement of her feet. But if you think of a ballerina when she's in her pirouette, if it's called, when she's balancing on her toes, it's that constant movement, that shifting back and forth from side to side that you don't really see, that lets her so gracefully move around. And so when I think of counterbalance, I think of that seesaw, that going back and forth, where it looks maybe on the outside that you don't see that little motion, those micro motions, but that's what's happening in the background. And so when we look at counterbalance, and when we look at having to focus or choosing to focus in a certain area of our lives to get extraordinary results, the key is awareness, having awareness of ourselves and how we're affecting the people around us. We want to, and how we're also affecting ourselves with, are we wearing ourselves out? Are we getting enough sleep? Is our health Is our health okay? Are we neglecting areas that are absolutely necessary for sustainable success and growth and happiness? Those are questions that we should be asking ourselves. The key to counterbalance is accepting that I'm going to have to focus in this area more than I focus in these other areas, but not getting so far into that focus that you can't find your way back. Not so that if you think of, there was a story that I read in this book that I've mentioned a couple of times, The One Thing, and it was about a man who worked really, really hard to build his business. And he had a wife and he had 2 children. And he, for years, just neglected his wife and neglected his kids. But in the foreground, he was building this amazing business and making all of this money, and people really respected him. But in the background, his relationship was crumbling. It was non-existent with his children, and it was crumbling with his kids. And so that man went on to be successful within his business, but his wife left him because he neglected her, and he was so far off into his work that he did not balance. He could not find his way back to a healthy point in marriage. And so I bring that up just as an example of the awareness that's key, of recognizing what the result is of our extraordinary focus and effort that we put into things. If you are really passionate about what you do for a living, then that is fantastic. That is a part of you spending the time in your work. I work a lot, I spend a lot of time with my work, but where are we counterbalancing? If you think of it like that seesaw, when are we getting on that other side? When are we allowing that balance to come? We can rock back and forth like that ballerina, but we've got to maintain some sort of balance, and that may look more like counterbalance than balance. So I love this concept of counterbalance because for me, it allowed me to have a lot more compassion and understanding for how to be effective, again, and sustainable in my efforts. When we're out of balance, I love this illustration because it feels like this, right? It's like this cycle of, oh my God, I have so much work. Oh my God, I'm so stressed out. I'm not sleeping enough. And if we're not aware, if we're not mindful, which Michelle is going to talk about, if we're not mindful of this cycle, then it repeats itself and it starts to just wear us down, right? I mean, how many of us have felt completely depleted at the end of the day or the end of the week or the end of the year, and you're like, how can I even go on? It's that feeling of wanting to give up, because what you're doing by neglecting areas that need your attention is wearing yourself out. You are literally depleting yourself. And so I put here what some of the sources of depletion are. As you guys know, if anyone's joined in the past, I specialize in positive psychology. And a part of why I love positive psychology is because it puts words behind so many of the feelings that we have, and it puts scientific studies behind these feelings of what we have, and then it gives interventions of how to move forward or what we can do to help ourselves. It's like self-help on extra boost because it's got the scientific backing. And so positive psychology defines these items as depleting. And nod your head if you agree as I go through them. Making decisions. Who has had to make a lot of decisions and you're just like, oh my God, if I have to just make one more decision, my brain, I can't even take making another decision right now, right? Making decisions depletes us. It wears us down. Taking initiative wears us down when we have to be the one to forge ahead, to lead the ship. Multitasking, which I'm sure a lot of us do, doing multiple things at one time, that's depleting. It actually takes away from our energy sources, both physically and mentally. And I'm going to tell you what happens with that at the end of this list. Restraining our impulses. We actually have what's considered to be a limited amount of discipline that we can pull from in one day. And this is partly why. So if we have the impulse to do something and we tell ourselves no, and then that comes up again, we have the impulse to do something and we tell ourselves no. The more we tell ourselves no, the more likely it is that once we get to that point of telling ourselves no 10 times down the line, that we're just going to say, forget it, I give up, I give in, and we're going to give in to what that impulse is. And so when we're depleted, when we are being disciplined, it's very easy for us to get to that point of exhaustion, of depletion, where we break whatever it is that's good, that good habit, and we turn towards a bad habit. So in short, this is why we can eat a tub of ice cream at the end of the day. We've told ourselves no all day long. We have depleted ourselves to no end throughout the day, from sleep deprivation to, if you're on your period, your premenstrual cycle, low blood sugar. These things can be so depleting that by the end of the day, we've restrained our impulses. We told ourselves no. By the end of the day, we're tired and we're like, just give me the ice cream, because it feels good, because it gives us that dopamine rush of like literally feeling better. And we think that that's the solution, but the solution is actually to be more mindful about what we're doing to deplete ourselves and to be proactive. And Michelle's going to talk a bit more about that. I just wanted to say, oh, the low blood sugar. When I learned this, I was so entertained by this, because I remember when I was younger, my grandmother and older folks used to say my sugar is low. And I was like, what does that mean? As a kid, but as an adult, and then also with understanding positive psychology, your sugar is low, your glucose levels are low, which is actually depleting. And so by taking in sugar that we get from food, not just pure sugar, but taking in the sugars that we get from our food, from our carbohydrates, we are actually replenishing ourselves, which is why, if you're an athlete and you're training, you're told to drink protein shakes and to eat carbohydrates before exerting a lot of energy, because you're gonna build, you're replenishing yourself and building yourself up for peak performance. Okay. So Michelle, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So, one of the questions that we want to ask ourselves is, what do I need to give up in order to achieve balance? Amber sort of spoke to it, and there's actually a philosophy that finding balance in our life may in fact be a myth, right? So, our conversation today is really intended to help us take a look at things both intrinsically as well as extrinsically that may cause us to be out of balance or not feeling that we're able to really successfully keep up with everything. Next slide. So, we want to think about how we can replenish ourselves, how we can keep our cup full so that we don't get depleted. And there's a lot of mindfulness that needs to be taken into consideration in order to, hopefully balance things out. So breaking bad habits and changing them into small action steps. When we have a lot of things on our plate, we as women tend to have huge capacity. We oftentimes can be a yes waiting for a question. Yeah, I can do that. We think we can strap on the cape and really tackle so many of these issues and things and people. But, if we can look at the various compartments of our life and break it down into small actionable steps and really make sure that we have the sufficient time to be able to do things successfully. In some instances, we may have to kind of push things out. Setting boundaries is key. If any of you, and I know I'm a self-professed yes waiting for a question, if you're anything like me, setting boundaries and learning how to say no. And even if the request might not deserve a no on the other end of it, it may be, I can't do this right now. And then you begin to sort of negotiate the by when. This could be your boss. This could be your spouse. This could be your kids. It could even be negotiating with yourself. But it's setting boundaries that makes sure that you don't put everything in the very important and very urgent category when we think about this thing called a priority matrix. Start and end your day with you. The best way to kickstart your day to make sure that you are fully energized is to not get up and immediately check your phone or log into your computer. Trust me, ladies, I am talking to myself right about now. So, if you're constantly in the work mode or overthinking mode, if you've got kids and you're just, waking up and the first thing you have to do is what's for breakfast, take the time to meditate, say a prayer, center yourself. It doesn't take long, but start the day with you. Practice doing nothing. When you think about all of what you've got going on during the day, sometimes just taking a break and giving yourself a respite will recharge your batteries to get more energy to be able to do what else you may have to do over the course of the day or the week. Schedule tech-free time. We are so connected to our electronic devices. You know, we've got our phones, we've got our desktops, we've got our laptops. You know, sometimes we just feel like we're invisible if we're not somehow connected to the outside world using these technology and electronic devices. But being able to, you know, maybe even set an arrangement with your family that, you know what, when we're having dinner, we're going to turn our phones off. We're just going to have conversation. Or if you're there with your significant other at the end of the day, you know, and you want to watch television or you want to have quality time watching television, turn the phone off or at least put it on silent so you're not interrupted with a text. Glucose, certainly what Amber just made reference to, paying attention to the substances that we put in our body. Sugar really, you know, can be an energy boost, but boy, you crash really, really quickly. So be mindful of, you know, what your sugar intake might be. Naps and sleep. There's something to be said, and the healthcare professionals speak to how important it is to get your rest. You know, whether it's 7 hours, 8 hours, you know, whatever it is that you need to do in order to wake up feeling replenished. And don't feel guilty if you feel that at the course of a day, you need to take a nap. Sometimes power naps are huge. There are organizations, I know, I was reading an article recently that Huffington Post, what's the editor, the founder of Huffington Post?
Ariana Huffington.
Thank you, thank you. She had a breakdown. She was a workaholic. And when she hit a wall, she decided, you know what, I've got to transform my life. And what she did within her office environment was to create napping pods. She put napping pods in her office. It became a trend. I don't know how many companies are actually investing in it, but it's enabling employees and associates. It's part of their wellness practice where she was allowing them, you know, go take a power nap, recharge your batteries. Laughter. Oh, there is nothing better than the levity that comes with either having a conversation with a friend or a colleague that just lifts your spirits, and laughing, or watching something on television or reading something. You know, laughter is the fuel of the spirit. So being able to do things and experience things and read things that are going to elevate your emotions to be happy and laugh. It's a great way to recharge your batteries. Time spent with others. You know, when we are able to gradually go back to business as usual, no, it won't be business as usual, it won't be life, it'll be a new norm. We've been deprived of that interaction. You know, if we live in a household where we have family and friends living and staying with us, that's great. But for the most part, our socialization has really been cut off. So, you know, when we do go back and we're having an opportunity to spend quality time with people, that may even be a goal that we want to have. Let me do a little bit more of that, just so that, you know, I get and feed off of the energy of others. And it's all about contributing to our positive emotions. You know, one way to ensure that we have balance, again, this is an intrinsic aspect, is pay attention. It's emotional intelligence. Pay attention to the thoughts. If we have worry and concern, there's a lot of things in the world that may cause us to feel that way. But I always tell other people, even if we are going to state what our fears and concerns are in a conversation or in our thoughts, end it with an "and it's possible. And I know things are going to get better." Not a but. Don't let it stay with all the concerns, the worry, the fear. End that sentence, end that thought with "and it's going to get better." Something affirming. It has a psychological impact and physiological impact on our body when we're able to experience positive emotions. Next. So it's important to realize that balance is more of a reference point than a destination. It's a check-in. You know, we're not always going to get it right. We're not always going to be at a balance. Sometimes it's going to be we're exerting 80% effort for a 10% or 20% return. It's a journey, as they say about life and success. It's not necessarily a destination. Next.
That's it.
That's it. Okay. So before we pass it off to our yoga instructor, I posted in the chat, and we may not have time to talk about it, but we do want this to be a call to action. Think about the things that are going on in your life that is causing you to feel depleted, or where the boundaries, or where there's an imbalance. And we're inviting you as coaches to set the rest of this week. This is hump day. This is the midway point. Think about what you could be doing differently or better, especially with a lot of the tips and techniques that we shared with you that you're going to start to incorporate into your day in order to bring about balance as best you can. Okay? All right, so now for the Fiesta Resistance, we have our fabulous yoga instructor, Berna. I'm going to turn it over to you, love, and tell us more about who you are, what you do, and what we can expect from this amazing second half of this webinar.
Awesome. Hi, guys. Thank you so much, Amber and Michelle, for offering this opportunity to share yoga, right? And so while our conversation today is about balance, if there is a goal in yoga, that would be it. Because the definition of yoga, yog means union, right? And the union is trying to create that balance between the body, the mind, and the spirit with technique, right? And so in our practice today, we will touch upon 3 techniques. So we're going to have a breath practice, right? And so this is a manipulation of breath, knowing how to manipulate your breath so that you know that you are in control. 2 is going to be the movement, which is called asana, right? So this is the physical movement, so that we are in a state of doing. So pranayama, the breath control, is a state of doing. Asana, the movement of the physical being, that's a state of doing. Finally getting us to a state of being in the meditation, right? So these are techniques, right? Because if we want to have a great cup of coffee, we need a technique, right? We need the balance of that perfect ingredients of your milk, your sugar, your coffee, right? To get it like that. And so that calls for a technique and calls for consistency, because if you consistently work at your technique, you refine it, right? And when you refine something with consistency, you know, this technique gets to be something that you can count on and gets to be something that will bring you the results you want every time. Because don't we want what we want, right? Right, which ultimately creates, you know, a sense of success. So we're going to start. I'm going to have some subtle music in the background, and we're going to start by just grounding. So if you have a mat, great. You can get on your mat and sit cross-legged or hips on your heels. If you are in your chair, I'm going to stay on my chair so that you can view what I'm doing. So come onto your chair. If you are on your chair, you want your feet to the ground, right? So you want to know that you are connected to the ground underneath you. Look at your feet. Make your heels be right underneath your knees. And if you are sitting down, just find yourself into a nice, comfortable seat. And so to begin with, we work with the polarities of what we have, which is Earth and cosmos, right? And so in order to connect with the Earth, you're going to grab your 2 hands, scoop up your glutes, like the fleshy stuff, stretch it back so that you're sitting down on your sits bones. So allow yourself to sit on your sits bones, and you're going to create a triangle base underneath you, with the apex of the triangle being your perineum. Right, so your perineum is the space between the genitals and the anus. So you want to be sitting down on your perineum. And then gently press your hands down onto your thighs. On your inhale, you're going to lift up your sternum. On the exhale, lift your shoulders up and roll them all the way back. So inhale through the nose, lifting up the heart. Exhale, relax the shoulders back in space, side out of your mouth. One more like that. Inhale, lift up the heart. Exhale, relax your shoulders back. So here you're creating your vertical spine, right? The vertical spine that goes all the way up, 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 up into the cosmos, right? Connected to the earth, connected to the universe. Hands, your left hand on top of your knee, bring your right hand on top of your belly. Take a nice deep inhale. Allow the belly to expand into your hand. And on the exhale, it just naturally goes back in. Inhale, it expands. Exhale, it naturally goes back in. And maybe even close your eyes so that you can really feel the sensation of the breath filling up your belly. And on the exhale, you can feel it naturally going back in, because most of the time we are caught in flight, fight, or freeze mode, which causes us to constrict our body. And most of the time we are sucking in our bellies, you know, either because of like life situations, trauma, or because of vanity. So we want to go back to the breath that you had as a babe. Inhale, stretch your belly into your hand. Exhale, let it naturally go. So if you have a baby around you and you watch it breathe, you'll notice that the belly expands out and it naturally goes back in. One more inhale like this. And exhale. So good. So good. Alrighty. And so today we're going to bring, right hand onto the belly, left hand onto the heart. We're going to begin our practice with a sound of Om, right? The sound of Om is said to be the sound of the universe. It's a unifying sound. And close your eyes, imagining that the ah sound starts at where your right hand is, so at your belly, your solar plexus. The O is going to rise up through your heart and through your throat. And the is going to land in a cranial vibration. So an exhale out of the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Softly begin to open your eyes, hands on top of your knees, just an opportunity to notice the difference, right? Between 5 minutes ago when you started to now. So we are going to look at the body as a house, working with our basement level, right? Our basement is going to be your hips and your legs. Your torso is going to be that second floor of your house. And then your head is going to be the attic, right? The attic where we hold all our implicit information, right? And where we also get the bird's eye view of what's going on in the landscape of our life, internally and externally. So grab hold, starting from the top floor all the way to the bottom. You're gonna grab your left elbow with your right hand, your right elbow with your left hand. Really grab and scoop it. On your inhale, you're gonna stretch your forearms all the way above your head. On the exhale, you're slowly going to bring it down. So inhaling and exhaling via the nose. Inhale through the nose, forearms up. Exhale, slowly, forearms down. So nice and slow, you're going to go up and down at your pace, following your breath. A pregnant inhale on the up, and a pregnant exhale on the low. Right in here, we are building a frame. Elbow to elbow is the same measurement of your shoulder to shoulder. We're working with our body's bones, which is creating stability and structure, right? And we get to know how to frame ourselves, right? Creating the square as we lift up our arms. And once we know how to frame ourselves, we create safety in our abode, right? And once you feel safe, you can easily move through physically your life, but an internal safety as well, mental safety. Elbows up, elbows down. On your next inhale, leave your elbows all the way up. Really open up your heart, open up your lungs. Take another deep inhale, cross your thumbs all the way up. Hold it, Then on the exhale, slowly allow the arms to drift all the way down. Super good. Moving on to the torso, second floor of the house. Hands on top of your knees. Hands are your ability. Your knees are your stability, right? Creating mobility within the body. Stretch your chest all the way forward, and then you're going to swerve yourself all the way around, right? All the way around yourself. Chest comes forward on the inhale. On the exhale, you're gonna squeeze the belly in, drive the belly in towards the back of your spine. So clockwise motion all the way around. And here on the second floor, we are working with our kidneys. We're working with our adrenals that sit on top of the kidneys. Stop at the center and then counterclockwise the other way, all the way around. Really sitting on your sits bones as you go back. Pressing your heart forward as you come forward. And we're working with our adrenals. We're working with the chemistry of the body, right? And here refining the chemistry so that we can be the alchemists of our experience, the alchemists of our life. Stop at the center. Nice. Keep your hands on your knees, and now we're going to work on the basement of our house. So, seated cat-cows. On your inhale, you're going to stretch your body all the way forward, lift up the heart. On the exhale, sit back onto your sits bones, pull the belly to your spine. Inhale stretches the heart forward, use the hands, and as you go back, pull the knees back with you. As you come forward on your inhale, pull the knees back, right? And here, what you are trying to do is really come forward onto the apex, which is your perineum, and then go back onto your sits bones, right? Go back, creating friction in that base triangle that you have underneath you. So in nature, when you want to build a fire, right, you get two sticks together, you rub them together, you create the heat, eventually fire. Here, the perineum is the pilot light of your house. And also in your basement is located your circuit board, which is your sacrum. And here you're trying to light up the house, trying to warm it up, every room. So push your chest all the way forward, stretch your throat. On the exhale, pull all the way back, chin towards your chest. Two more like that. Inhale, lift up, chin up. Exhale, chin towards your chest, drive the navel all the way back. So good. Slowly stop at the center. Inhale, stretch your arms all the way up. Turn the body over towards the right. Bring your hand down on top of the right knee. And maybe the hand tented up behind you or on top of the chair. Press your sits bones down. On the inhale, look over your right shoulder. And knowing that when you're working with the right side, you're working with that masculine energy, your ability to step out into the world, to have organization and strategize. Inhale, lift your back arm all the way up and over. Place it on top of your left thigh. Come to center, and now just lift your arms up. They should be in an X. Super good. Bend your elbows, forearm into forearm. Maybe you can grab your wrists. If not, no worries. You can always grab your shoulders. On your next inhale, bringing this feminine and this masculine energy together, elbows come all the way up towards the sky. Exhale, drive your belly in, drive the elbows in towards the belly as you expand your back body. Inhale, lift up, release, arms come up and overhead. Turn the body over towards the left, bring the hand on top of the left knee. The back hand to the back of your chair or tense your fingers to the back of your mat. Lift up the heart, cement your sits bones down, and then look over your left shoulder. Working with the left side of the body is working with our feminine nature, our ability to be intuitive, to have imagination, to have creativity. Inhale, stretch that left arm all the way up and over, place it on top of your right thigh. Lift the elbows up and then bring your forearms together. Again, you can grab hold of that top wrist or you can grab hold of your shoulder blades. Inhale, lift up. Combining these energies together like a DNA strand, elbows in towards the navel, tuck the chin in towards your chest, curl in. Exhale, arms come up and overhead. So good. Place your hands down onto your knees. Now, if you are on the floor, you're going to come into your tabletop. If you are not on the floor, you're going to come to standing up. And put the chair in front of you. If you are on your tabletop, you're going to tuck your toes, lift your hips to your downward dog. So Amber, downward dog, tuck the toes, lift the hips on high. Pedal it up, bend your right knee, bend your left knee. Give yourself a couple of wiggles here at the hips. And then walk your feet to your hands, top of your mat. There we go. So if you're standing up, bend your knees. And then if you can bring your hands to your feet, measure 2 fists in between your toes and 2 fists in between your heels. You want to create a number 11 with your feet. Now, everybody, bend your knees a whole lot. Bring your belly right on top of your thighs. Drape your chest over your knees. Let go of your neck spine and grab for opposite elbows. So from here, you're just forward folding the body down like a rag doll. Keep the contact of belly on top of your thighs. Stretch the skins of the elbows down. Just feeling your back body get longer. Release everything. Release the tongue to the roof of the mouth. Release the brain to the roof of your skull. Let go of those thoughts that are not deserving, are not worthy of you. Let it go. Inhale. Exhale. If you want to sway side to side a couple of times, you can go ahead and do that. Easy breath in. Easy breath out. Find yourself at center, and then slowly tuck your chin into your chest, heavy knuckles onto the mat. Slowly, you're going to come all the way up into your standing. So you're rounding yourself up like a zombie. Relax the shoulders all the way back in space. Pronounce the heart all the way forward. And you're in your Tadasana, mountain pose. So look at your feet. Make sure they're still hips width distance apart. Relax the shoulders back, lift up that beautiful heart. So from here, we're going to, on the inhales, lift up the arms. On the exhales, we're going to pause. So lift up the heart, inhale, exhale, pause. Inhale, exhale, pause. Pause here, stretch fingertip to fingertip, stretch your heart. The hands do the good work of the heart, so stretch your arms all the way out. Take a nice deep inhale, exhale. Okay, last one. Inhale, stretch your arms all the way up towards the sky. On the exhale, hold. Press your hands together in high prayer. Bring your hands to your heart center, namaskar. Create a third foot with your feet. Bring them together underneath this third hand. Third hand, anytime we put the threes together, that's Trinity. That's our implicit nature, right? Whatever we're holding dear to ourselves. Inhale. Exhale. So good. Relax the arms by your side. Close your eyes. Just give yourself a couple of moments in stillness here in this mountain pose, right? Close your eyes. Find the structure within. Body weight goes back onto your heels. Distribute that weight forward. Spread your toes. Plant your feet so deep into your mat, into the floor, that you feel connected to the earth. Bring an awareness to yourself that you are connected to this earth, always have been, always will be. Use the energy from the earth. You're going to lift up your legs, squeeze your thighs, sending the energy from the earth all the way through your legs. Suck your lower belly in and up, beginning to lift up this energy through your torso. Lift up your sternum, send this energy to your heart and to your lungs. Open your eyes, inhale, lift those arms all the way up towards the sky. Exhale, bring it home to your heart center, right? Recognizing the similarities of the mountain pose. A mountain in you, you are as powerful as a mountain in your stillness, can weather any storm. Inhale, exhale. So good. Bring your left hand onto your heart. Lift that right arm all the way up towards the sky. Squeeze your hands into a nice tight fist. Push weight onto your heels. Inhale, lift up that right side, right? This is what you stand for. Bring to your mind's eye, what is it that you are trying to achieve? What is it that you stand for today? Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale. Release your palm and bend the body all the way over to the side. Feel that side body stretching open, looking up to the sky. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, come back towards the center. Hands back together out to your heart center. So good. Bring the right hand onto your heart. Lift that left arm all the way up. Ball your hand into a fist. Now close your eyes. Lift left side, working with that feminine energy. Internally, what are you trying to cultivate? That balance, maybe creating more of your imagination, your intuitive nature. What are you trying to cultivate? A sense of peace, patience. Breathe life into it. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, stretch up, let go of your fists, and stretch the body all the way up and over. Look up towards the sky, chin towards your armpits. Stretch a little bit more, get longer. Exhale, slowly bring it back towards center. Hands to your heart center. Release the arms beside you. You're going to grab your chair. Grab your chair from the back. Walk it back. And if you don't have a chair, you're just going to go into your forward fold. So forward fold the body down. Press your heels down right underneath your hips. And then forward fold your body all the way down, or keep your hands on your chair. Your biceps are by your ears. Let your head go. Stretch your sits bones all the way back. Stretch your wrists away from your armpits. Stretch your armpits away from your sits bones. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale. Slowly walk it towards your chair. Come back to standing. Relax your shoulders down, feet together.
Verna, I'm sorry to interrupt. Just 2 more minutes, okay? So that we have time to kind of wrap up and, okay? 2 more minutes.
Thank you. So come back into your seat. Sit your sits bones down. Create that vertical spine once again. Hands on top of your knees. Lift up that beautiful heart. Inhale, stretch the arms up towards the sky. Take a nice pregnant pause here. Cross your thumbs. Inhale, one more. Hold it at the top. On the exhale, slowly bring it all the way down. Keep your palms open on top of your knees. Palms open is receptivity mode. It's grace. Close your eyes. And then just visualize the breath rising up from your back body. And exhales, they go down your front body. So inhales, they come up like fire in the back body. On the exhales, it's like water, like grace streaming down your front body. Inhales, it's that balance of effort and that grace of ease as you exhale. One more in. Exhale. So good. Bring your arms all the way up towards the sky, hands to your heart center. And we'll close our practice with the sound of Om. Bring right hand onto the belly, left hand, leave it on top of your heart. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale. That first Om, it's going to be for you. The second Om is going to be for everyone in your radius, whoever you have in prayer, your family, your friends, your co-workers. The third Om is going to be for this planet, every sentient being on it. Exhale your breath. Inhale. Inhale. One more inhale. Bring your hands to your heart center, tuck your chin into your chest in honor of yourself, in honor of this light within you, this light that will never diminish. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. Namaste. Namaste, yogis. Thank you so much for your energy and your presence.
Nice job, Verna. Thank you so, so much. I feel like I just took a vacation for the last 20 minutes.
I feel like I want to take a nap now. I'm all relaxed.
Right, we got all that oxygen just kind of filling our lungs. So we're coming to the end of the webinar and we've got about 5 minutes, but I was thinking with what, we have shared, I just kind of want to open it up. Anyone who wishes to unmute, to just kind of share where they may be stuck, where they may be out of balance. Yeah, we just kind of want to hear and provide maybe even some coaching support, even with the last 5 minutes that we have. Anyone want to share?
Oh, we see you, Karen. It looks like you're saying
okay.
Oh, there you go. Hi.
Sure. I know something that's, I appreciated everything, Michelle and Amber, you said, and then the yoga, it was great. I know that for me, I think a lot of what you said really resonated because I try to start every morning writing in a journal and just getting thoughts out. It's like thoughts, and that's just thoughts. Whatever's going on, whatever I'm thinking, and then it's a to-do list. But as part of that to-do list, I put 3 breaks on it, 3 breaks for myself, whatever they are. So if it's exercise, if it's a call with a friend, if it's a TV show I want to watch, it's like that becomes as important as every single to-do I have to do. And I think just having those to look forward to is really helpful. I know for me. So I like the way you say, like, start the day with yourself, end the day. Like last night, I had Oprah Winfrey. She had some wonderful interviews. That was on the, break for myself. And I think if you give yourself those breaks, I find that I'm less likely to eat more ice cream or put in more sugar or more chocolate, all those vices I have, because I know I'm giving myself some outlets and some time to like let the steam out of the valve and just say, that's it, so it's helpful.
Yeah,
Karen,
right,
that's
Karen.
so
Well
important.
said.
You're replenishing before you get completely depleted. So you're scheduling, you're being very proactive with it. And that's a great way to approach your balance. Yeah.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Does anyone else have maybe any tips that they can share about how they stay balanced?
The breath. I mean, you say do something in the morning and do something in the night for yourself. If you can start off with, just connecting to your breath, that will bring a sense of equilibrium to your mind state so that, you can go through your day like with a sense of grace and then ending it with a sense of peace, right? So that you can get a good night's rest.
Yeah. Yeah. Mindy, we see you've unmuted. Did you want to say something?
I think what something that I do is before I go to sleep at night, I come up with 3 things for that day that I feel self-accomplished with, and then I follow up the next morning and repeat them to myself, as in yesterday, here's what I'm thankful for, so as to not, really forget it or just to keep it as important. And then 3 goals for the day. It's been helpful for me.
Yeah. Positivity is huge.
Yeah, and gratitude is
the
huge.
Emotional balance that we have.
Yeah, the gratitude. So Mindy, I heard you saying gratitude is like what you're grateful for is a great reminder for us of when we get stuck in that place of feeling overwhelmed about things. Expanding our thoughts to think about what we're grateful for is very healthy for our positive emotions and well-being. Yeah. Verna, that was great. How does everyone feel? I took a couple of pictures of you guys. Everyone looks so peaceful. How do you feel? Thumbs up? Everyone feels good? Yeah. And just to, as an example of taking a break in the middle of the day and check in with yourself and see how you're feeling this afternoon. If you're now going into your afternoon with more peace and harmony and tranquility than you would have if you just forged through directly from the morning. I really try to make an effort to take a break around midday because I have a tendency to just go hard all day long, but especially with the kids being home, taking a break in the middle of the day really does help. So great. Michelle, do you want to close us out? But I also want to make sure we don't forget to ask Verna to tell everyone that where they can find her.
Yeah, so via Instagram, I am Pachamama Yogi. I will put it in the chat, and the website is in development, but you know, it should be up tomorrow. It's pachamamayogi.com. And I will be having lessons on my website, just, you know, for breath, like simple things that we can do on an everyday level basis to bring that equilibrium back into our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So we are switching some things around. Amber, remind me, what do we have coming up for next week?
Yeah, so we actually may do our discussion on trauma next week. With everything that's going on,
Right.
we have a woman who specializes in trauma. And so we had another topic scheduled for next week, but we're trying to get her in because we feel like it's such a relevant and timely discussion.
Yeah, so I'll sort of embellish on that a little bit. So we had such an incredible, and I promise we're going to get you off in less than 60 seconds. We had such a outpouring of participation and interest with the sort of social justice, Black Lives Matter webinar. And to Amber's point, we're thinking a continuity, and the two individuals who we've had conversations with are ancestral trauma specialists. So in order to really kind of understand what our subconscious bias might be, and where pain really originates, which is ancestral, these two individuals, if we can anchor them down for next Wednesday, will be there to talk to us about, you know, how that impacts us, and then how we can effectively, you know, eradicate some of the patterns that we've inherited and move forward in a more unified and in a way that brings about solidarity. So that's what we've got hopefully in store, but we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, we'll talk about post-traumatic growth, which is also an option from post-traumatic stress, which so many of us know about. So we'll be talking about that as well. So stay tuned. Yeah.
All right, ladies. Well, tell your friends, keep the word going, keep showing up. We've got more in store. We'll continue to do this for as long as there's interest and we have an audience. So have a blessed day. Namaste. And we will see you next Wednesday.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Take care.